we have a big goal, and until we hit that goal, you're going to hear me talking about it every year, which means that we all need to work together to accomplish it. So in 2021, we set a goal to double our economic impact from $38.54 billion, and that does not include the hospitals, to $77 billion. And I had friends who said, "Are you crazy? You can't do that." And I'm an economist, and I look at the numbers and I run the models, but more importantly, I know our people. Heck yeah, we can do that. Look at what we've done so far. In 2016, our economic impact, that's the first year we calculated it, was $23.16 billion. It is, in our last year of calculation, less than a decade later, it had grown to $43.64 billion. It had almost doubled in less than 10 years. There's no reason we can't double down and get it done again. But it will only happen with smart policies. It will only happen if we work together. That's why each year, and you all received on your chair, because I see them now on the floor, your AZBio magazines. But you may not realize that AZBio's public policy guide is in that magazine, and it shows at the federal and at the state level best practices that we've searched out across the country and what's important for innovation, for jobs, and equally important, if not more important, for patients. So I want to take you back and talk about some big and bold ideas. Because growth and impact go together. As we grow, we generate economic output. As we generate economic output, those economic output recycles. That money goes around and around and around in our economy, which means that every time it recycles, it gets taxed again. And every time it gets taxed again, there's more money for roads, and there's more money for schools, and there's more money for universities, and there's more money for police and fire, and all of the things that we expect government to do for us. So when we talk about, and I loved what Senator Kavanaugh said and what Senator Farnsworth said about money. We have to use our money wisely. How many of you, I want to see a show of hands, how many of you have a savings account of any kind? Come on. How many of you have an investment account where you're investing in the future? Okay. So our opportunity in Arizona is to use some of our very precious dollars to invest in things that will have a strong return for the people of Arizona today and in the future. Because as we all know, if you spend it all, when you really need something, you don't have it. So Mike Hull is here with us today, and his mom I truly valued as a friend, and she was the architect of Proposition 301. She called it Education 2000. Prop 301, when it first started, that's that 0.6 on the end of your sales tax, was designed to do three things: to support K through 12 education, which we sadly needed, to support workforce development programs, and to support TRIF, the Technology Research Initiative Fund, so Arizona researchers could work on things that impact the lives of Arizonans. And I know the Board of Regents is very, very strict on how we use those TRIF funds, and Karen, I know as a former regent that you were very involved in that, so thank you for your leadership there. But Prop 301 is no longer voter protected. So if we get into a situation where we don't have everything we need, they might dip into that. And then we have a problem funding education and funding workforce development and funding research. We've seen that with transportation over the years. So one of the things that we need to think about is how do we protect those big, bright, bold actions that we've taken as a state? Now, university research, so TRIF only is supposed to be used for the actual research enterprise. But in 2003, they looked around and said, we don't have enough research buildings. So Bob Robson and members of the legislature pushed through $500 million for university research infrastructure. The Bio5 Institute at the University of Arizona, the Biodesign Institute at ASU would not be here today if that had not happened. But like all good things, when you spend, when the money's gone, you have to go back to the well. And so we went back to the well for 5 years and nagged Governor Ducey. And finally, in 2016, he said, if you make her stop, I'll do it in 2017. And he did. And we figured out a way to get another $1 billion to invest in our university research infrastructure so that our world-class researchers have a place to work. The next big, bold move is one that has been going on since 2004. Arizona's Bioscience Roadmap, first launched in 2004. It is the longest continuously managed strategic plan to build a bioscience sector in the United States, if not in the world. It was the leadership at the Flynn Foundation that brought together over 100 leaders that have, come in and out of the program, but consistently over 100 leaders to make sure that the plans that we're bringing forward are the plans that are needed to move the industry forward, to get to that capacity of doubling like we're talking about doing. And so, Flynn Foundation, I have a surprise for you. We just confirmed that the very first meeting of Arizona's Bioscience Caucus in 2026 is going to be focused on the Bioscience Roadmap. So get ready for your time to meet with our legislators, and legislators, get ready to hear the strategic plan that is going to help us double by 2033. The City of Phoenix moved forward with the PBC. Look what happened afterwards. From a failed bid for the football stadium to a home for TGen, to now a campus that has expanded multiple times, not just in downtown Phoenix, but across the state, making the City of Phoenix #1 in the nation for life science job growth, not to mention capital improvements, investments of over $6.7 billion. That's called a return on investment. That's why we invest. The next big idea, the next thing that is going to reshape our state is the Arizona Health Innovation Trust Fund. Established by the legislature, the Arizona Health Innovation Trust Fund is designed to be a permanent endowment. Think savings account, investment account, engine to drive the state forward. We have some great programs in the state. John Garcia is here from ABRC. ABRC does very important work in research. It also has a challenge. Its funding comes from tobacco taxes. And as we all know, people are not smoking the way they used to. That was the intention of those tobacco taxes. But it also is continuing to delete the value of that resource to fund that program. We need to come up with new ways. The Arizona Health Innovation Trust Fund could become the supplement not just to support health research, but commercialization, so what we discover gets to patients. and makes Arizona truly a go-to destination. I'm looking out at Dr. Robert Bowser, who he and I have worked together since he got here from Pittsburgh to figure out how we can do better for people with ALS. And one of the biggest challenges is as we're developing those new technologies that are coming out of the Barrow, there needs to be funding to make sure that they get developed here, that the company grows here, that the patients benefit first here. That's what the Arizona Health Innovation Trust Fund is all about. And the way we administer it, because that's not the state's job to actually run the programs, we have AZ Advances. So the Opportunity Through Entrepreneurship Foundation is a 501c3. It is contracted with the state to do important work on our workforce, with our entrepreneurs, and to move those discoveries into the pipeline. Now, remember you heard me say that thank you to our Bioscience Caucus chairs. We got $150,000 this year. That $150,000 was specifically designed for improving health for our veterans. So the way that we did that, come on, that's important. So what we did was, as soon as we knew that the money was in bank, took a little time, we then put out a call for applications from across the state of Arizona for small businesses that had programs that could have an impact on the lives of our veterans. Those applications were then scored by leaders across the state, in our veterans community, in our healthcare community, in our scientific community. And the 3 companies, Arizona small businesses, that will be working on those grants this year are Life 365, who is working in the telehealth space to improve connectivity for our veterans so that they can get to their doctors virtually. My Health, who is working on improving the veterans experience. And TJ, their pilot's going to be in your district. And Regenesis Medical, who is working to help veterans with neuropathy and other neurological problems get a relief from the pain. And so those programs will be running through session. We will have updates for you as we go through session. But it's going to be a really exciting time because it's a way to see exactly what happens when we put the money to good use and we don't waste it. And let me tell you, I'm really cheap, so they have to go through hoops to get their money. All right, so I've talked about the amazing things that we are doing in our bioscience sector. And you know, when we talk about innovation, you know, the buzzwords are better, faster, cheaper, right? Arizona is better, you should come here. It's faster to get your product to market, you should come here. It's cheaper in Arizona, you should come here. That's somebody calling to say they're coming to Arizona right now. But we are not an island. Other states are also investing in their bioscience sectors and are also getting great results. I got news for you. They're also getting our research and building companies, our companies, in their states, because we do not have the funding that is necessary to keep that research here. Now, you might say, well, wait a minute, those researchers should be loyal to Arizona. Those researchers have a mission to make life better for patients. And if they have to go to Timbuktu to follow the money to make life better for patients, they will do it. And it makes me really mad when they do. But you can't blame them. So, great state of Texas, Republican state, okay, has awarded over $4 billion in what they call C-Print grants since 2010. And in 2025, they doubled down and they've now created a program for neurological diseases. So our cancer researchers are starting companies in Texas, and our neurological researchers are going to follow the money to Texas if we don't figure this out. Now, that's not, all of a sudden the room went quiet. But let me tell you, when you are trying to bring a life-changing therapy to market, you do whatever you need to do to make it happen. And we have invested as a state over $30 billion of public and private money to get to where we are today. Every time that we see an Arizona discovery get developed in another state, we have missed the boat. The opportunity is gone. And so we really have to think about, how do we get creative? Massachusetts, everybody talks about Boston. Okay, I was actually in Boston when their mainframe computer industry was tanking, and they said, oh, what are we going to do? Oh, we got all these universities, let's do life sciences. They invested. They built. They focused. They're winning. They are a slightly smaller state than we are. They get 10x the venture capital that we attract, because they have programs to take those discoveries, move them into commercialization so they become investable. And when they are investable, you see the returns. Now, the NC Biotech Center, they're the oldest. Remember I talked about tobacco earlier? Can you imagine if you were the governor of North Carolina when the Surgeon General started telling everybody that tobacco gives you cancer and you shouldn't smoke? And it's your #1 crop. So what they did is in 1984, they started investing small amounts, not big amounts. But today, Research Triangle in North Carolina is rapidly growing to become the 4th major biotech center in the United States. So what we need to think about, how do we get creative to find the money, to invest the money, to create the cures, to create the jobs, to create a brighter future for Arizonans and their families. Because that's what it's all about. It is about improving lives. Health innovation is more than jobs. It's more than companies. It's more than tax base. When you are holding the hand of someone and you have to listen to the fact that the doctors can't do anything else for them, that's the motivation. That's the mission. It's improving lives.